my name's Bridget Thoreson. I'm the Director of Collaborations here at INN. I am so excited to be able to share with you a little bit about what we've been up to with collaborations at INN over the past year. But really, this session is designed for you to listen to and to hear from each other. So you are welcome to pitch any specific collaboration ideas you have, but if you don't, that's okay too. This is really our chance to explore just what potential possible opportunities might be out there. I like to ask you to picture your favorite gathering space. Let's just all go there in your mind to be able to have these conversations. All right, so what exactly are we going to be doing today? I hear you ask. It's a very simple agenda. I'm going to share a little bit about INN collaborations at the top here. I've got a brief deck. Feel free to ask me any questions in the chat. And then we're going to go to those breakout sessions. So you'll be in rooms with about 4 or 5 other attendees here to share your ideas for collaborations. Now, again, if you don't have a specific collaboration pitch, that's fine. It's still a great time to have a discussion, hear what other people are interested in partnering on, just what you're exploring. Everyone will have about 5 minutes to talk in those breakout sessions. We're going to spend a nice chunk of time, just picture us in your mind at little tables having these small group discussions. And then for the last 15 minutes or so, we're going to reconvene in here as a full group. And if you're ready and willing, you can actually head on over and post your classified ad, right? Wanted collaborators for X project, contact Andrew, and we'll be able to make connections that way. So welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We've got Matt here from the Center for Public Integrity. Good to see you, Matt. Thanks for joining us. And so before I go into my explanation of INN collaborations, I'm just going to prompt you to, hello, Danny, interesting. I'm just going to prompt you to think about a few items for your discussions in the breakout rooms. What are you interested in possibly collaborating on? Could be a specific idea, or could just be a topic of interest to you. We hear from a lot of INN members around topics like the environment or healthcare or education, right? Where might it make sense to partner up with some other outlets to explore these topics editorially? What are you looking for in a potential collaborator? Part of this can be sort of the skills and strengths that you'd love to add to your reporting. Maybe it's data journalism. Maybe you want someone in a specific area. Maybe you want someone with a specific topical expertise or who's done really great audience engagement work, right? Hi, Lauren. I'm so glad you could be here. Excellent. D, I love it. D's interested in democracy-related coverage. And then also, what do you have to offer potential collaborators, right? What are your strengths as an outlet? What do you think people would benefit from partnering with you on? Again, we're just dreaming the dreams here today. It's okay if you don't have anything specific. If you do have something specific, you are in exactly the right place for it as well. And then lastly, of course, like any good classified ad, how should people get in touch with you if they're interested in partnering? So again, we will have time to discuss this in your breakout groups as a group, ask your questions. But I'm going to kick things off here by talking a little bit about collaborations at INN. So first of all, we have to define collaborations, right? Because collaboration can mean many different things in many different ways. So I'm going to start by introducing how we are thinking about this. I want to be super clear. This session is designed to surface opportunities for collaboration with INN members, whether or not INN is involved. So I'll be telling you a little bit about my work with member outlets on collaborations, and then you'll have the chance to connect with each other to explore ideas before potentially sharing them out with the full group. So collaboration, like I said, can mean a lot of different things, from distribution partnerships to deep co-reporting on stories. At INN, we view collaborations as collective action, any number of different ways we can work together as news outlets for change, collective action for change. And this is a very intentional definition of impact, using that word change, because we're focusing on what this journalism means, either for the people and institutions we're reporting on, or for the internal processes and partnerships that our newsrooms are building. So when we talk about collaborations, we're really looking to explore those ways we can work together to make an impact in the world through our reporting. And let me give a quick example of that change in action. So we recently had a collaboration called At the Crossroads. which examined the state of the economy in Indian country. We had 10 participants, 7 INN members, and 3 tribal outlets. And as part of this collaboration, Wisconsin Watch, Dee is here from Wisconsin Watch today, did reporting on the casinos industry and the future specifically of that industry for the Ho-Chunk Nation in Wisconsin. So just last month, they had an event which gathered Ho-Chunk Nation citizens with tribal officials and journalists to discuss their reporting for the series. And one audience member named Forrest, who's shown here in the blue shirt, brought up how the information that tribal members receive from their government doesn't allow them to be very informed on some challenging decisions. And here I'm quoting directly from his remarks at the event. I've noticed within our own newsletter that we don't get to this level of reporting that was in this particular story, the Wisconsin Watch story. How is it that we're supposed to understand what's going on in the government? I think that creates a lot of these silos or barriers to our people understanding what's going on with legislation. And then he asked this question: how do we get the better reporting? And I think that's so powerful as an example of the question that our collaborations strive to answer and the type of change that this work can drive. So when we're thinking about collaborations, we're thinking about the meaning it has for the communities and the new opportunities it represents. So what this looks like is it's joining forces as individual outlets for that collective action across the entire network. And it really starts with listening. So much of my work is listening to what our members are interested in collaborating on. This is one reason I'm very excited to have this session today, and finding ways for us to work together. So we've managed a number of editorial collaborations over the past several years. It's involved more than 40 newsrooms in more than 20 states, and you can see some examples of our collaborative work there. And the components that INN brings can include funding, can include project management, can include impact recording afterward, right? So really having that external third party to help manage this process and facilitate those connections. So now I'm going to share my own collaboration classified where INN is primed to help. This will be a sort of model for the discussions you'll be having in the breakouts in just a few minutes, about 5 minutes each to talk. But again, whether or not you want to partner with INN is entirely up to you and what makes sense to you. So let me just real briefly share here what INN is currently exploring in terms of collaboration. So question number 1, what are you interested in? As I mentioned at INN, our approach starts with listening. And based on what members have been telling us, these are some of the topics that we're exploring for collaborative journalism projects this year. Our biggest and most ambitious collaboration to date is the Rural News Network. We already have 60 members that have told us they're interested in joining this consortium to surface and share rural reporting. The project I mentioned just a moment ago on the state of the economy in Indigenous communities was part of this initiative. And we just last week announced that Alana Rocha of the Texas Tribune will be joining us later this month to lead this initiative for INN. So we're very excited about this opportunity. We're actively seeking people who are interested in learning more. In just a moment, I'll share how you can get in touch with me for any information about this or any of the other projects I'm mentioning. We also have some other topics that are really coming up from the members that have filled out a survey on collaboration interests or participated in calls. And if you're wondering, what is this survey? How do I get a call? Again, I'll give you the information about how to get in touch with me on the next slide. Whether or not you're a member, what I'm looking for is simply to talk to people who are interested in this type of work. I'd be glad to connect with any of you to discuss our collaborations. We do partner with external outlets regularly, not only for distribution, but also as part of the editorial process when it makes sense with our member goals. I always tell members it's impossible to bother me because I can only do my job when I hear from all of you. And I'd also be happy to send you more information on surveys to fill out or opportunities to connect if a call isn't the right fit right now. And then that third question you'll be discussing in the breakout groups in just a moment here is what we can offer. As I mentioned, INN can offer support in finding funding to support this work, project management, especially when it's helpful to have that third party guiding the process along, impact reporting afterward and examining the lessons learned. And as I mentioned, maybe it doesn't make sense for you to participate in a collaboration that INN is working on. I can just facilitate connections and then gracefully exit the conversation. We're happy to fulfill that role too. So again, these are all sort of areas we're exploring, but what I'm really looking for when it comes to potential collaborative partners is just people who are interested in having a discussion on this work. So with that, the fourth component, how you can get in touch with me, it's Bridget at inn.org. Just send me an email. Send me an email right now with the subject line collaborations and a blank email body, and I'll know what you mean. But if any of this was of interest to you, I would love to hear from you and talk more about it. I'm going to leave this on the screen. Nope, you don't need to be INN members. Correct, Valerie? Yeah, we partner with external partners, and we're actively looking for people for these projects. So again, if you're interested just in learning more, it's no pressure. One of my other favorite things is when someone says, this isn't the right fit for us. And I say, thank you. You have saved us all a lot of time and energy. You're welcome, Valeria. So please feel free to take a moment right now, respond to my own classified ad. Just send me a note and say, I'd like to learn more, and I'll follow up with you for more information. So now it's your turn. You've heard my classified ad about collaborations. Let's explore some possibilities. What are you interested in potentially collaborating on? Maybe you have an existing project. Maybe you're just exploring certain topics. Maybe there's just a problem you're not quite sure how to solve, right? Then maybe you could benefit from working with some other organizations with. What are you looking for in a potential collaborator? What strengths would really benefit you? What can you offer in terms of resources, in terms of skills, in terms of audience, right? And if you're open to it, if you want to continue this conversation out of today, how should people interested in learning more get in touch with you? This is a question regarding roles for collaborations. Is it possible to join as a follower and then return to the next project as a leader? Absolutely it is. I mean, this is all about finding what works for you. You're the one in putting together this classified ad after all. So yeah, we'd love to see people join collaborations in sort of a partner role before maybe moving to an editorial leadership role.
He has a pitch. What are the major undemocratic forces operating in your state, especially if it's a swing state? That's a good one. I love that. So I'm just going to be shouting out these ideas as we go to see which ones you might be connected in. So this one's from D. What are the major undemocratic forces operating in your state, especially if it's a swing state? I love that idea. I think that's a brilliant idea. Undemocratic forces. Joe is excited to collaborate on Democracy Day. Me too, Joe. I can talk about this. Please do check out that link. This is going to be in September. This is an initiative of which I am one of the organizers to collaborate reporting on democracy and threats to democracy. So D, you might be interested in checking that out. Alex, science, health, environment, society. Ooh, student multimedia and multilingual projects. Alex, this is great to hear about. Thank you. Danny is interested in doing breakthrough reporting about climate migration. So I'm just reading the classifieds page now for collaborations. It's so much fun. All right, this is from Andrew at Door County Knock. How are Airbnb and similar vacation rental markets, I just saw a story about this today, Andrew, affecting housing and other resources in local communities? Ooh, that's interesting. Matt from the Center for Public Integrity is going to be looking for local partners on a major project about student homelessness later this year. Student homelessness. Matt, I'm going to ask you if you can respond in the chat. Student as in any particular grade levels or all students of all grades? Barbara's looking for people to work with FLCGA on a 2022 elections watch. All right, Barbara, you've got my interest. This is great. Open Campus from Laura partners with other nonprofit news orgs to cover higher education in their markets. Higher ed partnering option. Josh, local teacher stories, educator voice. And a national story based on those local stories. Valeria is interested in partnering with a local newsroom about a health equity issue. That's interesting. Ethan is interested in covering the politics of rural prison closures and or prison expansions. Another wonderful example from Matt at Public Integrity, open to collaborating on investigative ideas about inequality in the US. Ooh, in labor, education, healthcare, housing, and democracy. Oh, Shelby from Shelter Force. Are minors being named as defendants in evictions? Man, these are good ideas. Oh my goodness, there's so many good ones here. Thank you all for putting in your... Yeah, Barbara, Dee has a question for you about Election Watch, if you're able to say that in the chat. Oh, and Valeria, you can republish health content for free in Spanish. This is great. This is why I really wanted to host this session, because I know there's all kinds of great opportunities out there. And it's wonderful to see these members so interested in connecting with each other about these opportunities. Paul built a system to manage corrections requests and reader feedback. Thank you, Paul. Okay, so Dee, here's some more info from Barbara. We want to pull together a group to help monitor all state, House, and Senate races to identify possible ghost candidates. Bart's looking for seasoned Native American journalists from South Dakota or the Great Plains. Great, thank you, Bart. Oh, here's another rental housing thing. This is interesting from Shelby. What LLCs open multiple units in a single city or county via open source data scraping? I have, Josh, when it comes to submitting an LOI or grant proposal as a collective for funding for news projects. So feel free to reach out to me if you've got more questions about that. Oh, and Steve, thank you so much for posting. Kepasa Midwest is looking for bilingual collaborators and organizations. Great. Susan, co-generating sustainability news from diverse newsrooms beyond New Jersey to help solutions-based mainstream sustainability reporting. Maya's interested in collaborating on stuttering and invisible disabilities. This is great. Thank you so much. Open secrets. Anyone looking to collaborate or access data on state or federal races? Thank you, Taylor. Yes, contact Open Secrets. Civic Story Summer Intern is synthesizing questions about the evolving role of news in democracy. And cross-country dialogue in advance of the midterms. Yeah, so Danny, if you saw, ghost candidates are those who run only to spoil an election. It would be interesting to see how those are tracking too over time. Oh man. Thank you, Dee. Yes, all of Wisconsin Watch's stories can be republished for free by INN members, and they have Google Translate in Spanish and Hmong. Thank you. Is there a repository or list of publications that are okay with any INN members republishing their content? Let me check and get back to you, because I mean, members have their own guidelines. I don't know if we have an actual repository. I'd love to hear from you if you want to talk about anything collaborations, even as just to facilitate connections to other outlets. My email is bridge@inn.org.